So I want to welcome you this morning. It's good to see you again after not having seen you for a month. It's just crazy. And I missed you guys. I don't know if y'all missed me or not, but I missed you. And I thought about you numerous times on the trip. Thought about how much fun it'd be to have you with me in all these spots. But I'm really glad to be home. Jan and I both are glad to be home. Y'all can see how well I've taken care of Jan, how good she looks. And so that's just because she's so loved, And but you know what? I realize y'all look so good. That must mean y'all feel so loved. I love you. I tell you right now, I love the fire out of you. I'm going to love the fire into you. Is that good? Are y'all ready for this? Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Let me read this to you. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Today, I want to share with you how to start something. And this is very applicable in your life across the board. How is the right way to start something? I see things all the time about how to start a new business, how to start a relationship, all kinds of how-tos. This is how to start something. How to start. You can apply this to anything you want to, but this will work in every venue. And the beauty is, the first time we met as the Connection in San Antonio, I told you that I believe the Bible is not about God per se, but it is about you. Therefore, it is about God, but it is about God expressing through human beings on this planet. So the Bible is not so much for us to figure out God, it's about figuring ourselves out. And God, divine mind, is giving us tremendous, powerful insight to our existence here. How to start something. Now, I thought about doing like this. I thought about what if I could talk y'all into, let's go into this as though we've never heard of the Bible. We don't know anything about the Bible. And we're coming here with no presuppositions. We're just going to read this from the beginning. And as I considered setting that up, in my mind, it got so complex. I thought, I don't know if I can do that or not. And I don't know if you can do that or not. But I do want you, in as much as you can, to set aside your preconditioned ideas. Let's go into this thing fresh as we possibly can. Having said that, let me give you my definition of God. Here it is. God is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, infinite love. That's my definition. Let me do it again. God is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, infinite love. Is that too much? You got that? That is the premise that I adopted after I had my spiritual epiphany a little over 8 years ago. And I used that premise because the preconditioned thoughts and ideas that I had, when I talk about preconditioned thoughts, let me ask you a question. How much of what you think really came from you? Are the thoughts that you have today, were they not given to you by someone else? And depending on where you came from, your thoughts vary to the degree of the culture that you emerged out of. You agree with that? So we get so sold on our thoughts, and we say they're our ideas, and they're really not our ideas. They're recycled ideas and recycled thoughts. And then we get so adamant about them that if somebody has a different point of view, we have a tendency to immediately write them off and not even listen to what their perspective is, because we have already told ourselves we know. We already know. Somebody asked me the other day, what do I know? And I said, I don't think I know anything. You know, I'm having experience, and I'm constantly adapting my life based on the experiences that I have. If I know anything, this is what I feel like I know. I feel like I know that God is all powerful, all knowing, everywhere present, infinite love. And that is my platform. That is my premise. I base every conclusion that I come to on that. If my conclusion does not fit in that, I believe that I have come to a wrong conclusion. So that'll come back many, many times through this journey of light. Here's what the scripture starts out with. In the beginning. Now, because of what I just gave you as a definition of God, we know that when we're reading in the beginning, that we're not referring to the beginning of God. Infinity has no beginning and has no end, or it would not be infinite. So in the beginning has to do with this story. And this story is the human story. And it first begins with the habitat for humanity. In the beginning, God created. The word create means to bring something into existence or to cause something to happen. So we have a tendency to really appreciate people that we consider to be creative. Over in Italy, it's Italy. Jan will keep me straight on this. We went into the museum that houses the original David that Michelangelo formed out of marble. Now there are many replicas and copies of they call it the David statue. And we got very close. We were right there, and I thought, what genius, because not only did we see that, we saw many of the works of Michelangelo that were the original works, not replicas, but the real, his hand actually touched that. Now, when he did the David, he was in his 20s, a young man. We love creative people, don't we? People that are creative, that are able to do things that just wow us. And a lot of people in my experience have said to me, I'm just not very creative. The word creative means imaginative. God created. God imagined. God caused something to come into existence. God caused something to happen. God, in the beginning of this, created. He imagined. Now, I read about Michelangelo, and he would look at a piece of marble, according to what I read, and he would see in the marble the figure that was to come forth. And his idea was, I am going to liberate David out of this piece of marble. He already could see it. Everybody else just saw a block of marble, or most everybody else saw that. He saw an angel. He saw a David. He saw various other forms, and he said, I'm going to liberate them by taking away the excess and set this figure free. What imagination. Isn't that awesome? We love people like that. We love the people that have influenced our world by virtue of their imagination. Now, if you're one of those that think, I'm just not very creative, I'm just not very imaginative, would you let me take you through a little exercise to show you it's not true? It works better if you close your eyes. You don't have to. But if you would just close your eyes for a minute, let me just do something with you. I see a white frame house with a bright blue door. On either side of this door, there's a window that is framed by matching blue shutters. There's a front porch to this house, and on the porch there's a swing. Over in the corner of the porch, there is a gray and white cat curled up, asleep. There are 2 steps going down from the porch to a flagstone path. The path is not straight, it's curved. It's an S curve. At the end of this path, there is a little gate that interrupts a white picket fence that fronts the front of the yard. Open the gate. Step through the gate. Now turn around and look at the house. Now that you can see the house, you see the roof. The roof is shingled with light tan shingles. At the peak of the roof, there's a weather vane. It's not an animal. It's just a pointer with a north, south, east, and west. Now look at the sky. It's very blue. And across the sky, there is a smattering of puffy white clouds. Okay, stop for a moment. Did you see it? Were you able to see it? Now, I don't know if it looked to you like it did to me, but if you were able to see it, that is what imagination is. So if you can see the picture in your mind, you are accessing the creative aspect of your own being. In other words, you're accessing the God zone, the creative zone. See, it is God that worketh in us, both to will and to do of His good pleasure. I say that dreams that we have are divine blueprints of what each one of our potential actually is. Now, whether or not we bring that into existence depends on whether we follow this template that we're given by divine mind in Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created, God imagined. God saw a picture in His mind of the heavens and the earth. Now, at that point where the creation took place, the earth was without form and void. In other words, it had not emerged into existence. There was just emptiness. So where was it? It was only in the mind of God. Creative people walk around with resorts in their head, with galaxies in their mind. Creative people walk around with things that other people have never seen. Now let me explain something to you. The power of creation is this. If you can imagine it, it's possible. If you can get a picture of it, it can be done. The reason why everything that we picture in our mind does not happen is because we sabotage our own creations by negative counter thoughts. So here's a template for how to start something. To start something, you've got to imagine it first. Then, watch this. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Well, when I use those two words, deep and dark and deep, what does that conjure in you? Isn't that foreboding, a little onerous, challenging? Boy, when I was a kid, I hated at night for the lights to go off. I wanted some light somewhere. And I thought, I know kids that are not like that. They're happy little guys. They just go get. They're not afraid. They just go get in bed, turn the lights off. It's all cool. Why was I afraid? I wanted to know. Inquiring minds. So I thought back to my childhood, and I came to what I believe is the answer. My dad was a pastor, and it was a very traditional kind of church, and strongly believed in God, and maybe even a little stronger believed in the devil. I used to think if people believed in God as much as they believed in the devil, boy, we'd have a lot better things happening. But it seemed like the devil would show up more, than God. And so he was just kind of more believable. Well, when I say that, I'm saying that there would be visiting pastors or preachers come in and sit in our home, and they'd sit up late at night, and boy, I hated to go to bed, but Dad would make me go to bed. But it was a little bit comforting for them to still be up while I was in bed, because I knew the devil probably wasn't going to get past them and get me. But they told stories about the devil, about somebody being late at night in a sanctuary, and all of a sudden there's nobody there, but the piano starts playing. And they're trying to pray. And the piano's playing. And it's not gospel music. You know, I was a little kid, and they were telling me stories like that, and then telling me to go to bed. Wondering why I was afraid of the dark. I would lie in bed, and when the lights would go off, I would forget what I had hung up on my closet door. And there was a man hanging on my door. My imagination would go wild in the dark. But I was creating things that was harmful to me. I was actually using my God zone to produce something in my life that was painful to me as a child. Now, as I grew up and figured out that those things were not true, they were true to me then. I want to teach you something right now. Things that were true to you 5 years ago may well not be true to you now. And your truth should constantly be ascending. You should believe something better today than you believed 5 years ago. It may have been wonderful for you then, or it may have been hell for you then. But there should be a constant ascendancy. This is the purpose of infinity, that you will never get bored, that you will never get tired, that it will never end. There is always going to be another achievement, another level, another challenge, another conquering. There always will be. Don't ever worry about getting bored, because you should never get bored. The only way you could ever experience boredom is for you to believe that this is all there is. It never gets better than this. I'm telling you, that's absolutely not true. So the creative part of us is the God zone. And when we see darkness in our life, I want to encourage you this morning about darkness. They're concerned about my voice. Well, you didn't even take the lid off of it. What do I do with that? Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if this will help, but we'll try. Y'all don't like my, what's that guy's, that sings Barry, you don't like my Barry, no, Barry White. You don't like my Barry White voice? I brought this all the way from Spain. You know, I used to sing, well, I've never been to Spain, but I kind of like the music. But now I can't sing that anymore. So you know what I sing now? Well, I've been one time to Spain. Are you able to edit that out of it? No. Don't do it. That's maybe the most valuable thing that happens here. Darkness has this connotation that things are bad. But I'm here to tell you, I want to encourage you. If you feel like things are dark in your life, I want you to know something about God. He does some of his best work in the dark. Always has. I think always will. At least in this plane. And the irony is that God is light. And in him there is no darkness. But God does good work in the dark. You know, from the deep dark comes some of the most expensive, most valuable things we know in this plane. Where do diamonds come from? Where does gold come from? Where does silver come from? We say, well, a man was walking down a creek and he saw something glitter and he reached down there and found a diamond. Yeah, there are certain conditions that exist that push up from the bowels of the earth a few little diamond or gold or silver tidbits. But the people that find them trace them back into the deep, dark bowels of the earth where mines are set up. And valuable things come out of the dark. I don't want you to be afraid of the dark anymore. If things are dark in your life right now, I want you to be encouraged. God does his best stuff in the dark. What would a seed do if it was never put into the dark earth? You say, well, they got hydroponics now. Hydroponics, not phonics, ponics. Get that right phonetically. Well, even that, then the seed is submerged in water. And if light is kept on it without an interruption, it can't grow. There has to be darkness. Darkness is an incubator for some of the most wonderful things God has ever done. And God is not done doing good stuff. God is good all the time. And this goodness is in the incubation mode in the dark. Think about how many, y'all have children that you love? You got grandchildren that you love? You know how they got here? They were developed in the very dark place called a mother's womb. Some of the most wonderful things we ever experience and enjoy come out of a place of darkness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It was just in his mind because the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit, I like that word, Spirit. Another word for spirit is life. Another word for spirit is breath. Another word for spirit that this word comes from is wind, air, breath. The reason why in meditation, when you're distracted by things, you're always encouraged to bring your attention to your breath. You're literally bringing your attention to the movement of God in you. Breath, the breath of God. The Spirit, or the breath of God, hovered. One translation says hovered. One says moved. Another says vibrated. Vibrated. In other words, what we're talking about is frequency. Because the Spirit frequency determines the outcome. And I want you to notice that God didn't get into the darkness. He hovered over the darkness. In other words, he did not decline. He rose. And in this rising, he vibrated. He raised his frequency over this deep, dark place. And when you do that, here's my experience. Every time that I encounter something that I feel like is against me in some way, I have learned, and it's worked like magic for me. I'm just throwing it out there. You can try this and see if it works for you. When I change my mind about something that looks bad, and I raise my frequency concerning that, it always turns out a different way than what I had previously imagined. Listen, I use a better frequency when I deal with my family. I use a higher frequency when I deal with our business. I use a higher frequency when I deal with anything that seems like a barrier or an obstacle to me. And I'm telling you, I'm batting 1,000 at changing everything that I do this to something better. Because let me tell you something. This is something that has stuck with me. God does his best work in darkness. So when I change my mind about what I'm looking at, I raise my frequency, and instead of getting down, I had somebody the other day tell me, I said, how you doing? He said, well, I'm doing pretty good under the circumstances. I said, what are you doing under there? Get out from under there. What are you doing under the circumstances? Why not come up here and hover, vibrate, get your frequency higher. I read something in the Course in Miracles that helped me so much. I used to be stressed a great deal of the time. 3 times in my life I wanted to die. I didn't want to kill myself. I wanted God to do it for me. And it was because I would get into a frame of mind that would bring myself so low. But when I discovered what I'm sharing with you today, I've never felt that way again. I don't have those kind of feelings. Thank God, because those aren't good feelings. But every time that I meet a challenge, I immediately work on my attitude, and I learned this from the Course in Miracles. It said this simple thing. Here's the power each one of us has. I can choose peace rather than this. Whatever you're looking at, if you don't like it, just say, you know what, I don't have to choose this. I choose peace rather than this. I want to encourage each one of you to not only raise your frequency about whatever is happening in your life immediately, but I want you to raise your frequency with regard to our country. I want you to raise your frequency with regard to our world, our planet. I want you to raise your frequency with regard to your family members. There may be somebody in your family doing something you don't like. Stop judging them about it. Leave them alone. They're having an experience. This is one of Michael's favorite sermons of mine. It said, what is that to you? Why you make things your business when there's some trash on your own front door? Huh? Sweep around your own front door, the old song says, before you start sweeping around mine. That's good, right? Good advice? Nobody likes advice. The only advice people will take, you never take free advice. If I'm going to give you advice, you won't take it. If I sell it to you, it's a different thing. So I'm going to start selling my advice because it's valuable. So let me encourage you in this. If it's dark in your place right now, I want you to be encouraged. I don't want you to get down in there. I want you to realize that by virtue of the Spirit that you are, there is a life frequency in you that it's working in you right now. As a matter of fact, it's breathing you. It's beating your heart. It's legislating all of the activities of your vital organs, and you're not even thinking about it. That will work for you the moment you become conscious of it and you begin to intentionally exercise it. When you direct it, when you say, I am sick, you're directing it down. When you say, I am the health of God, you are directing it up. And then you're telling the truth. Let me tell you something. I am is not sick. I am is not broke. I am is not weak. I am is not losing. I am is powerful. I am is strong. I am is life. I am is moving up. It's not moving down. It's moving forward. It's not going back. So know that about the truth of your being, which is your spirit. Raise your frequency and know this, that the spirit inside you that is functioning you, that is orchestrating all the functions, it always covers you. It always protects you. And it always stimulates you. Only your thoughts that are against it produce a result that seems like that's not true. Once you get your thoughts in harmony with what you truly are, you immediately rise. Now that I've encouraged you, are y'all encouraged? So that worked? I loved encouragement. I encourage myself all the time. I tell myself, you're a good boy. I want to inspire us just a little bit. This ends like this. The Spirit of God was hovering, vibrating, moving over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was. One of the most powerful things when you're trying to get something started that you can ever do is to allow. Allow. That's what happens. We get going, we'll get 3/4 of the way to the end, and then we will not allow the success. We will not allow the emergence. We will not allow it. We talk, we say, that's never going to happen. We do all kinds of things that wreck the thing that we imagined. We work. How many people in this room, don't raise your hand, have said, I am my own worst enemy? Why are you doing that? Why are you working against yourself like that? Why are you speaking against yourself? Stop it. Just stop it. Don't do that anymore. Let there be. Let there come into my sight the thing that I imagined. Let my imagination emerge. How many of you heard this saying around church all your life? Let go and let God. It's the law of allowing. We've got to allow things to emerge out of the unseen realm that only we see in our imagination into the realm where everybody else can say, wow, that's good. We'll get to that later, but I'm not going that far today. Allowing is let there be light. Let there be diamonds. Let there be gold. Let there be silver. Now, one of the most powerful verses in the Bible for me after my experience 8 years ago was this one. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God thought, it's not robbery, to be equal with God. Most Christians count that as blasphemy because most Christians have been conditioned. Hear me now. I'm gonna go into a dangerous place with you. Have been conditioned to see the physical form of Jesus, whatever that looks like to them, as God. The Scripture never says that. The Scripture says that Jesus is the Son of God. And that the Son of God came and taught us that we are like Him. He's the older brother of everybody else in God's family. And that if Jesus is God, then so are you. Because when the disciples said, well, Lord, teach us how to pray, He said, do it like this. Say, Our Father. Is that good? Never tried to put Himself above the disciples. As a matter of fact, wasn't it Jesus that got on His knees and washed their feet? Wasn't it Jesus bowing at the feet of a woman caught in the act of adultery? He's on his knees, she's standing up. What is He trying to tell us? When you see me, you've seen the Father. No man has seen the Father at any time. What are you saying? This and that? What He's saying is that every human is another unique expression of all that is. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God, and Father of all, who is above all, through all, and in you all. There's no place to get away from God. If God is for you, and He is, who can be against you? Because God is here and God is there. God is everywhere. God is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, infinite love. I want to inspire you. I want you to believe that you have infinite capacity to draw out of the darkness every dream, every imagination. You can do it. If you can imagine it, you can do it. It'll only happen if you allow it. Will you allow your imagination to take form? One of my favorite songs. Y'all gonna help me? When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Help me now. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. I like this one. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer. Isn't that good? Let it be. Come on, help me. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine on until tomorrow. Let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Stand with me. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Say it again. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. I want you to go ahead and think big. No, think bigger. No, think bigger than that. Let your imagination just go wild. And then don't sabotage it. Don't take the life away from it. Keep the life there. Is there an amen in this house? How many of you believe God is for you? And nothing can be against you. Are you encouraged today? Are you going to do more than you've been doing? So you're inspired too? All right. God bless you. I love you. I'm glad to be back home. I only went 10 minutes over.